What's up guys, Cliff from the Sunday Drive, and today we're going to show you how to change the battery on your Silverado. We're working on my 2014. So we're back working on my 2014 Silverado, which we just finished wrapping a few months ago. It's actually been probably about 6 months now and still looking great. Love how it turned out, but today is battery day. If you'll notice from the last video we published, we were also changing a battery. It is cold out, and batteries that are starting to die don't like the cold, so a couple of my vehicles have needed battery changes. And today, this is a 2014, but this should apply from 2014 up through 2018 and be similar on most GM trucks. Battery is located on the passenger side in your engine bay. Now, some Silverados may have a secondary battery installed over on the front driver's side. Right over there, you'll notice there's a handy cavity, which I used many times when I was pulling the motors out of this doing the AFM Delete series. So, but some of the trucks may have a battery equipped over there. So if you do, you may need to change 2 batteries, but I'll be showing you how to replace the one over on the passenger side. We're gonna need to remove this cross brace right here. It's held in by 3 13mm bolts. Pull that out of there. Now we have one more 13mm we have to release. It is straight down here and it holds the battery in place. There's the bolt. Now we need to disconnect the battery itself. You want to be very careful when you're disconnecting your battery, never to let the 2 terminals come in contact. You always want to disconnect your negative terminal first. And if you're not comfortable doing this, find someone that is. All right, and these are 10mm nuts. Okay. All right, so we got the negative terminal disconnected, and we're just gonna push that out of the way, and you wanna make sure you put it somewhere it's not gonna come to contact with the ground of the vehicle. Stick that up there. Flip the cover up here, and now we can disconnect the positive terminal. I have an extra wire going up to here for some of the accessories I've added to my vehicles. I believe this is for the light bar. Okay. Pull that wire out. Now we need to remove this box right here. This contains like an accessory power strip that taps off of the positive terminal there. It's just held into the battery with several clips. There are 2 on this side and 1 over on this side. So to release the ones over here, take something flat like a small screwdriver or another pry tool that you may have. And get under that tab, pull it up, and the other one's at about 3 inches behind the front one. Okay. All right, pull it up to free those. Now we have one more on this side. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fully remove this bracket right here. It's just held in by one 13mm bolt. I just don't wanna mess this up trying to force the wire and box over top of it. There's a little clip that holds onto the bracket right here for the one wire. Just gonna pull that off. And now I can much more easily push that out of the way. Now, unfortunately, this battery is still pretty sandwiched in here between the firewall and your coolant reservoir. Now your coolant reservoir is held in by 2 10mm bolts, one right up front here. And the second is right back here. Now we can push the coolant reservoir out of the way carefully. Kind of a juggling act here between this accessory strip here and all the wires. Right. There's that little block that we removed the 13mm bolt from earlier that holds the battery in place. And now we have these little arms, depending on, we can flip up depending on the battery configuration. These might be different. The new battery has a single arm. This is a little bit heavy. Now make sure you're doing this in a way you're not going to hurt your back. If you have a friend to hold this stuff for you, that will make it a little easier. Pete, could you actually hold that stuff maybe? Thanks. All right. But we have a new one ready to go on, and as I mentioned, you can see this one has a slightly different handle configuration. So old battery had 790 cold cranking amps, new one's got 800, so a little extra juice for the start. All right. Get that slid in place. All right, we can put that back in place. Snap that down. Set our coolant reservoir back in place as well. Now I want to reconnect the battery terminals, at least not both of them, until you're fully done securing everything in place. And when you're putting hardware back in, it's always better to do that by hand. And when you go to put this block in, if you're not sure what is top and what is bottom, if you look here, you can see there's an indent from where the bolt pushes down on it, and the other side does not have that, so this is the bottom. Now we can put this brace back in, or the support for the brace. And to make sure you're lined up with this, just do the same thing. You can kind of see where the dirt has left its mark on the bottom, and you can line up where the bolt goes. Now I am going to keep that one a little bit loose, just like finger tight, so that I can maneuver this as I put that cross brace across to make sure that it's in the right position. Now your vehicle probably is not wrapped, but one thing to be aware of, if you did get it wrapped and you're changing the battery after the fact, you do want to be careful tightening down bolts on top of wrap, because the washer or the head of the bolt can grab the wrap and twist it. However, because this one does have a washer, it helps protect it. But if you are tightening just the head of a bolt down onto wrap, those sharp edges of the bolt can tend to grab and tear the wrap, so just be aware of that. Snuggle that up. And that doesn't only go for wrap, but if you're tightening down on a painted surface as well. Okay. All right. Last thing to do, let's tighten the positive battery terminal first, and then we'll tighten the negative. So reverse when you disconnect, negative first, positive second, putting it on, positive first, negative second. Again, you probably will not have this unless you followed my video showing how to hardwire a light bar up to your high beams with the three-way switch. Now, if I had to do this again, I would have probably wired this into this accessory power strip right there, but it's here right now and I don't feel like changing it. It's cold and it's late. So we're just gonna stick with that for today. Snug that up, pop the cover in place. Let's take our negative terminal, feed that back up. And one thing I didn't mention, when you are tightening this positive terminal, you want to make sure your wrench does not come into contact with any type of ground, really any metal at all on the vehicle, so be careful of that, or you'll get a nasty spark and shock at the very least. Hopefully nothing worse. And GM did one nice thing. They actually put this fabric here because I'm guessing when people were loosening this positive terminal here, they were coming in contact with this. So that was probably why they added it, but it's also nice when you're tightening the negative terminal. You're not gonna dig it up because it's kind of right in the way of your wrench. All right, guys, so that is how you change the battery on your 2014 to 2018 Silverado or Sierra. It also applies to some of the 2019 work truck models as well. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. And as you heard throughout this video, there's a lot of other things that we have done to this truck, so be sure to go check out those other videos and stay tuned for a lot more content coming out on this 2014 Silverado, and we look forward to seeing you back in the next video. Thanks.